India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi receives a guard of honor upon his arrival in Bhutan. Visit aimed at further cementing the India-Bhutan partnership. India launches Operation Indravati to evacuate its nationals from violence-hit Haiti. 12 Indians evacuated so far. India's Enforcement Directorate arrests Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the excise policy case. UN Security Council to vote on Friday on US-backed resolution urging immediate ceasefire in Gaza and an Israel-Hamas hostage deal. US surgeons achieve a major milestone, transplant pig kidney into human in a 4-hour surgery. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Bhutan on a 2-day visit. Prime Minister was received by Prime Minister of Bhutan Tshering Tobgay. After his arrival at Bhutan's Paro International Airport, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi received guard of honor. During the visit, Prime Minister will meet Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, the King of Bhutan, and Jigme Singye Wangchuk, the 4th King of Bhutan. Prime Minister will also hold talks with the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Tshering Tobgay. Prime Minister will also inaugurate the Gyaltsen Jetsun Pema Mother and Child Hospital in Thimphu, a state-of-the-art hospital built with the assistance of the Government of India in Thimphu. In Thimphu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was welcomed at a private hotel with traditional Bhutanese dance performance. People in Bhutan lined up on the roads to catch a glimpse of India's Prime Minister Modi. School children were excited to have a glimpse of PM Modi.
As Prime Minister Modi landed here in Bhutan this Friday morning at about 9:30 a.m., the Prime Minister was received by the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Tshering Tobgay, who just concluded a 5-day visit to India. The Prime Minister from Paro to Thimphu traveled by road, which is about 50 kilometers of distance, and you can see little children, people, the commoners, common Bhutanese carrying Indian flags, Bhutanese flags in their hands, lined up to receive Prime Minister and catch a glimpse of Prime Minister Modi. Given the fact that the Indian Prime Minister is hugely popular here amongst the Bhutanese, this 2-day state visit of Prime Minister Modi is expected to entail a lot of discussions on the bilateral relations and taking them to the next level. With cameraman Praveen Johar, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Thimphu.
And India's Economic Intelligence Agency, the Enforcement Directorate, on Thursday arrested the Chief Minister of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, in connection with graft allegations relating to Delhi excise policy case. The agency is investigating allegations that a liquor policy implemented by the Delhi government in 2022 gave undue advantages to private retailers. The Enforcement Directorate, which is investigating the money laundering angle in the case, has so far issued 9 summons to Arvind Kejriwal for questioning. Sources say, instead of physical appearance, Arvind Kejriwal is likely to be produced through video conferencing in Rouse Avenue Court. Earlier, Delhi Chief Minister moved the Supreme Court, seeking an urgent hearing after the Delhi High Court refused to grant him interim protection on Thursday. A bench of 3 judges of the Supreme Court will hear the matter today itself. India's Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Anurag Singh Thakur, has said that Arvind Kejriwal is not above the law. He added that Kejriwal was running away from law and was not cooperating with the agency.
One after another Aam Aadmi Party leader, they were arrested for their corrupt practices. And the agencies have done their part. They have given him 9 notices. He never appeared. He is trying to run away from the agencies who are investigating into the corrupt practices of the Aam Aadmi Party and the liquor scam. He is not above law. He has to answer all the queries of the probe agencies. Where he did not cooperate with the probe agencies, now he is being arrested.
Well, DD correspondent Vikas Sati joins us with more details. Vikas, what's the latest development in the matter after AAP chief Arvind Kejriwal was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate yesterday evening?
All right, Siddha. So in the morning at 10:30, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Senior Counsel, mentioned his petition before the bench of Chief Justice of India, and CJI informed him that a special 3-judge bench has already been constituted for similar cases. So that will be the appropriate bench to hear this particular petition, and he advised him to approach bench of Justice Sanjeev Khanna. So what we have learned that once the regular listed cases before the bench of Justice Khanna and Justice Bela Trivedi are over, this special bench will start hearing petition filed by Arvind Kejriwal. In the morning, again, Abhishek Manu Singhvi said that this whole case is politically motivated. Arvind Kejriwal has nothing to do with any kind of a scam. So Supreme Court must hear him on urgent basis. Yesterday also in late in the night, they approached the Supreme Court registrar and sought urgent hearing, but CJI said that matter will be listed for tomorrow and there cannot be any kind of special hearing in the night. It is not that kind of urgency. Now we expect that after 2 p.m. This special bench will assemble, and then Abhishek Manu Singhvi will make his submission, though he has already said all those things before the High Court as well. Yesterday he mentioned that it is a politically motivated case since we are going to the general polls. So the idea is to put Arvind Kejriwal behind bars to impact the campaign of Aam Aadmi Party and allied parties as well. So that was the whole case, that it is a politically motivated case. Apart from it, Siddharth, also in the lower court, Arvind Kejriwal will be produced by the ED for further custody. That is also expected after 2:30 p.m. So we are waiting for that.
Vikas, according to the sources, Arvind Kejriwal is likely to be produced through video conferencing in Rouse Avenue Court. How true is that?
Well, there are speculations. In fact, some of the ED officials have also said that given the kind of threat perception, and Arvind Kejriwal also is a Z security protected leader. So there is a possibility that he will be produced through video conferencing. And in fact, earlier also he connected through video conferencing when he was summoned by the ACMM court of Rouse Avenue. So today also that thing may be repeated again. Apart from it, you are also aware that some of the Aam Aadmi Party leaders have called their supporters and party workers to stage a protest outside BJP office, and coincidentally Rouse Avenue Court is just next to the BJP office. Because of that, we have seen there is a huge deployment of police force. Barricades have been raised, normal traffic is being diverted. So given the security threat perception, he may be produced via video conferencing as well, though it has not been made official as of now, but we are expecting that he might be produced through video conferencing alone.
All right. Because apparently the AAP party members are staging protest in Delhi's ITO area, and a traffic advisory has also been issued by the Delhi Traffic Police. Could you tell us what's happening?
Right, Siddharth. As I just mentioned, that some of the party leaders of Aam Aadmi Party leaders have said that they will stage protests outside BJP office throughout the country, and particularly BJP headquarters. So because of that, police have in fact diverted all the traffic near BJP office and Rouse Avenue Court, and we have seen huge deployment of police officials in and around Rouse Avenue Court, and particularly on Deen Dayal Upadhyay Marg, where BJP office is also there, Aam Aadmi Party office is also there, and Rouse Avenue Court, where Arvind Kejriwal may be produced physically or through video conferencing, that also coincidentally is at DDU Marg. So because of that, traffic diversions have been advised.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Vikas Sati, for joining in and for your analysis. Now, committed to the security and well-being of Indians living abroad, India begins Operation Indravati to evacuate its nationals from violence-affected Haiti. So far, 12 Indians have been evacuated from Haiti to the Dominican Republic. Taking to his official Twitter handle, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said, India begins Operation Indravati to evacuate its nationals from Haiti to the Dominican Republic. 12 Indians evacuated. Fully committed to the security and well-being of our nationals abroad. Thank the government of the Dominican Republic for their support. Amid violence and looting in the Caribbean nation, earlier, a control room and an emergency helpline number were opened to evacuate distressed Indian nationals from Haiti. Haiti has been under a state of emergency after some armed groups attacked the country's largest prison earlier this month, killing and injuring police and prison staff and enabling some 3,500 inmates to escape. The ongoing chaos has forced tens of thousands to flee their homes, adding to more than 300,000 already displaced by gang violence. Latest on Haiti violence, another gang leader shot dead in an apparent resurgence of vigilante justice movement. Attacks flare in Haiti's capital Port-au-Prince on Thursday as political groups appear to get nearer to finalizing a transition council set to take over from an absent government. Let's get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic election. Holding elections in a country as vast and diverse as India is a Herculean task. Here's a report that takes you through the challenges and the arrangements deployed to conduct polling in India in a seamless manner.
This is India, the largest democracy in the world with a population of over 1.3 billion and spread over an area of 3.287 million square kilometers. But to keep the democracy up and running, a nation needs to have an elaborate democratic process or an election system. And to conduct election that has all the elements of freedom and fairness, an elaborate and institutionalized security mechanism is imperative. When it comes to security, comprehensive set of measures are taken by the Election Commission of India, the apex electoral authority, to make sure the electoral process is smooth and safe. The world's largest electoral exercise this time in India will witness deployment of 340,000 personnel from the various central armed police forces to ensure free and fair polling across the nation. The Election Commission has asked India's Ministry of Home Affairs to provide 3,400 companies of CAPFs or Central Armed Police Forces for deployment in a phased manner. About 340,000 paramilitary personnel will be deployed during the upcoming general elections and assembly polls in the Indian states of Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and Sikkim. Prior to this, 2019, general elections in India saw one of the largest deployment of paramilitary and security personnel. In a letter, the Home Ministry has urged the Chairman of Railway Board to make available adequate rolling stocks to ensure movement of forces to perform election duties. Measures by the ECI revolve around ensuring safety of polling stations, election officials, and safety of voters from potential threats such as violence, intimidation, or sabotage. Deploying law enforcement personnel and paramilitary forces to maintain law and order during the electoral process. Conducting risk assessments and implementing security measures in sensitive or conflict-prone areas. Electoral fraud prevention, such as preventing voter frauds like impersonation, multiple voting, bogus voting. Monitoring the distribution and storage of EVMs and voter lists to prevent tampering. The ECI is also responsible for implementing measures such as voter identification, indelible ink, and strict verification procedures to ensure the integrity of the voting process. Risk assessment is also a major step in the pre-election journey for the Election Commission of India. Cybersecurity is also kept in check to prevent misleading or threatening content. The ECI collaborates with cybersecurity agencies and experts to ward off any hacking attempts and enhance the resilience of election infrastructure. So how does the ECI manage various security challenges during elections in India? During general elections in India, the ECI adopts a multi-layered approach that combines preventive measures, law enforcement efforts, technology-enabled solutions, and stakeholder engagement to safeguard the integrity and credibility of the electoral process. Antara Sinha for DD India.
The Congress released the third list of 57 candidates for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. In the third list, the Congress has declared candidates for seats in Arunachal Pradesh, Gujarat, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Telangana, West Bengal and Puducherry. In total, Congress party has declared names of 138 candidates so far. Meanwhile, the Congress Central Election Committee to meet on Friday to finalize Lok Sabha poll candidates for Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The BJP on Thursday released its third list of candidates for India's lower house of parliament polls scheduled to begin from April 19, 2024. The party, which plans to contest 20 of the 39 seats in Tamil Nadu, has named 9 candidates for the southern state. The party has fielded its Tamil Nadu State Unit Chief K. Annamalai from Coimbatore and former Telangana Governor Tamilisai Soundararajan from Chennai South seat. K. Annamalai will contest from Coimbatore while L. Murugan will contest the polls from Nilgiri. Nanar Nagendran has been fielded from Thoothukudi. Indelible election ink is used during elections in India to prevent duplication of voting. Usually, it is used over the left index fingernail and cuticle. Once applied, the ink cannot be removed for several weeks and months. But do you know how this ink is produced? Which company is authorized to produce it? We take you to a factory in India's southern state of Karnataka, where workers are busy in achieving the target ahead of general elections.
For decades, India has used inedible ink made primarily from silver nitrate to mark voters to prevent duplication of voting. However, did you ever think who makes this ink or how is it made? We take you to a factory in India's southern city of Mysuru in Karnataka, where workers are busy in producing bottles to meet the production target ahead of general elections 2024.
So during this 2024 Lok Sabha election, we are manufacturing around 26,55,000 bottles of 10 ml each by hiring almost 120 members of outsourcing. So every day we are manufacturing 80,000 of bottles. So during manufacturing of indelible ink, we will carry out 3 phases of testing.
When exposed to sunlight, the ink stains the skin and fingernails purple. Lasts for about 2 weeks and is almost impossible to erase. The main raw material for production of this inedible ink is silver nitrate.
The rate which has been fixed by Election Commission is around 174 rupees per van, which the state election commissions will bear. And for the main raw material for production of this indelible ink is silver nitrate. So that is that it is the major 80% of that cost is because of that.
Company also supplies the inedible ink to other countries and counts several in Asia such as Malaysia, Maldives and Cambodia among its customers. Bureau Report, DD India.
Committed towards regional cooperation, maritime security, enhanced interoperability and safe seas, INS Thir entered Port Zanzibar of Tanzania, launching the harbour phase of the second edition of India-Mozambique-Tanzania Trilat exercise. INS Sujata headed to Port Maputo in Mozambique as part of the same exercise. The first edition of IMT Trilat exercise, conducted in October 22nd, saw participation of INX Takash with the Tanzanian and Mozambique navies. During the harbour stay, Indian naval ships would be open for visitors and partake in sports and cultural exchanges with host navies. Training visits for sea trainees of 106 integrated officers training course are also planned at the respective ports. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Afghanistan manages to hold India for a 0-0 draw in Group A fixture of 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers.
You said that Indian ethos and conceptualization of society, nation, state, governance, all these fundamental concepts of public life, you said that they are distinct and they are quite different and drawn from our traditions.
Our rise should be not just a photocopy of a Western or European nation, but India should rise as its own with its own real identity, which we call it Bharat.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. The United Nations General Assembly on Thursday unanimously adopted the first global resolution on artificial intelligence that encourages countries to safeguard human rights, protect personal data, and monitor AI for risks. The non-binding resolution, proposed by the United States and co-sponsored by China and over 120 other nations, also advocates the strengthening of privacy policies. The resolution is the latest in a series of initiatives, few of which carry teeth by governments around the world to shape AI's development amid fears it could be used to disrupt democratic processes, turbocharge fraud, or lead to dramatic job losses, among other harms. The United States will submit a draft resolution urging an immediate ceasefire linked to the release of hostages held by Hamas. Nate Evans, spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the United Nations, said on Thursday that the resolution resulted from many rounds of consultations with members of the 15-seat Security Council. To pass in the Security Council, a resolution needs at least 9 votes in favor and no veto by the US, France, Britain, Russia or China. The resolution marks a further toughening of Washington's stance towards Israel. Earlier in the 5-month-long conflict, the US was averse to the word ceasefire and vetoed measures that included calls for an immediate ceasefire. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is due to meet Israeli leaders on Friday to discuss ongoing efforts to come to a ceasefire agreement for the release of hostages, as well as longer-term post-conflict planning. Earlier in the week, he met regional leaders in Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Caroline Malone reports from Washington.
The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the gap is narrowing between Israel and Hamas on reaching an agreement that could at the very least see a ceasefire and hostages released. But part of the sticking points remain on the timeline. Hamas wants a complete end to the Israeli assault on Gaza in exchange for hostages. Israel wants only a temporary truce. It's always said that it aims to completely wipe out Hamas. Well, senior negotiators, including those from the US, Egypt and Qatar, are meeting in Doha on Friday to push forward for an agreement. and also to discuss a post-conflict plan for Gaza, which Arab leaders have said must include a Palestinian state. But according to the Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, there is still difficult work that needs to be done. Well, the US has expressed a concern about the humanitarian situation for people living in Gaza, and Blinken has said that children should not be dying of malnutrition, and that Israel needs to do more to speed aid into the embattled territory. And that is really reflecting an increasingly heard world view, and also one heard in Washington and the wider US. Fewer people here now, only about a third, think that Israel's response is appropriate. That's way down from a few months ago when Israel had widespread support in the US in its campaign against Hamas in response to the October attack. Well, the US has put forward a resolution at the United Nations Security Council calling for a ceasefire and for the release of hostages. And that's due to be discussed and voted on Friday morning at the UN headquarters. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
European Union leaders called on Thursday for an immediate humanitarian pause in Gaza that would lead to a ceasefire. Strong and unified statement of EU leaders on the Middle East at #UKOTonight. Charles Michel, the President of the Council, posted on social media platform X. The EU calls for an immediate humanitarian pause leading to a sustainable ceasefire. Full and safe humanitarian access into Gaza is essential to provide the civilian population with a life-saving assistance in a catastrophic situation in Gaza. Concerning Gaza, EU leaders called for an immediate humanitarian pause that would lead to a ceasefire.
The consensus of tonight is that we need an immediate humanitarian pause leading to a sustained ceasefire, the unconditional release of hostages, and the provision of humanitarian assistance. Gaza is on the verge of famine, a catastrophic humanitarian situation. Full, rapid, safe, and unhindered humanitarian access into Gaza via all routes is essential.
The EU leaders said on Thursday that the Union could use proceeds from frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine within a few months under a plan that includes buying arms for Kyiv. Leaders of the bloc's 27 member countries agreed at a summit in Brussels to move ahead with work on the plan presented this week by the EU's executive body, the European Commission. The Commission has proposed transferring 90% of profits from the frozen Russian assets to an EU-run fund used to finance arms for Kyiv. The other 10% would go to budget aid for Kyiv. And the 17th season of Indian Premier League will kick off today in the south city of Chennai. The opening encounter will see defending champions Chennai Super Kings taking on Royal Challengers Bangalore. Several top stars who missed the tournament last season are going to return. From Indian team point of view, Jasprit Bumrah, Rishabh Pant and Shreyas Iyer are back in the franchise league after their respective forced injury breaks last year. IPL 2024 will also see the return of Mitchell Starc, who will be playing his first IPL since 2015. So far, the schedule for only the first 21 matches has been released due to the upcoming 2024 India's general elections. This season is going to be the final season before the mega auctions and will also be a precursor to the T20 World Cup 2024 set to be played in June in the United States of America and the Caribbean islands. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.